Have you ever noticed this? The more you explain yourself, the smaller you feel. The more you try to be understood, the less they seem to listen. And the more you talk, the less they respect you. It's strange, isn't it? We live in a world that tells us to speak up, to share, to always have an opinion. Yet the ones who speak the loudest are often the ones people take the least seriously. You can sense it in meetings, in friendships, in relationships. Those who talk endlessly rarely lead. Those who stay calm, who measure their words, who don't need to fill every silence. They hold the room without trying. That's not luck. That's power. And it's the kind of power the Stoics mastered over 2,000 years ago. They believed that silence is not weakness, it's command. That the man who can control his tongue can command his world. In this video, we'll explore why talking too much erodes respect, how Stoic thinkers used silence as influence, and how you can build quiet authority in a noisy age. And at the end, you'll understand one timeless truth, that in a world obsessed with words, silence will always be your sharpest weapon. We live in an age of constant talking. Every platform rewards noise. Every opinion must be shared. Every thought must be explained. Every silence must be filled. People talk not because they have something to say, but because they're afraid of being unseen. You see it every day. In the workplace, at dinner tables, online. Everyone's rushing to prove how much they know, how right they are, how authentic their voice sounds. But here's the paradox. The louder we speak, the less people listen. And the more we try to be understood, the more misunderstood we become. We've mistaken visibility for value. We've started believing that to be respected, we must constantly explain ourselves, our choices, our feelings, our beliefs. But the truth is, the need to explain is the first sign of insecurity. And the man who truly knows himself no longer needs to be understood, only to act with clarity. That's what the Stoics taught. Marcus Aurelius, Emperor of Rome, led millions without shouting. Seneca advised emperors, yet his words were few. Epictetus, born a slave, spoke only when necessary. And every word carried the weight of conviction. They all shared one belief: speech should serve reason, not ego. Because when words multiply, meaning weakens. And when you speak too often, people start hearing noise instead of wisdom. In our world today, especially here in the West, the utter restraint has almost vanished. We're trained to fill silence, to keep talking until we win approval. But what if silence isn't a void to fear? What if it's a mirror? What if the moments you rush to explain are the very moments you lose power? In this video, we'll explore that deeply. You'll learn why talking too much erodes respect, the psychology behind why people tune out when you over-explain, how the Stoics used silence as influence, real lessons from Marcus Aurelius, Seneca, and Epictetus, how to build quiet power in modern life, in leadership, relationships, and everyday interactions. By the end, you won't just understand why silence matters, you'll feel it. You'll sense the strength that comes from not reacting, from holding your ground without a word. Because real power never shouts. It doesn't need to. It's the calm in the middle of chaos. It's the man who speaks last, and therefore the one they remember. Have you ever noticed that the people who talk the most are often the ones others take the least seriously? At first, they sound confident, loud, expressive, full of words. But the more they speak, the more you sense something missing. Depth. That's because constant talking leaks energy. It reveals what should remain hidden. Your uncertainty, your need for approval, your hunger to be liked. And the more you reveal, the less powerful you become. Seneca once wrote, "It is quality rather than quantity that matters." He wasn't just talking about speech. He was talking about presence. When your words are few but meaningful, they echo longer. When your sentences are measured, your silence gains gravity. But most people can't stand that silence. They feel the urge to fill it with explanations, apologies, stories that make them look better. It's not communication anymore, it's defense, and every word spoken out of fear, not clarity, chips away at respect. So remember this: talking too much doesn't make you wise, it makes you available. And the more available you are, the less valuable you seem. Respect isn't earned through volume, it's earned through restraint. In every conversation, there's a moment when silence says more than explanation ever could. That pause, that calm, is where true presence lives. But we've been conditioned to believe that silence is weakness. At work, people rush to fill meetings with words, terrified of seeming unprepared. In relationships, we over-explain, hoping to be understood. Online, we defend every opinion like it's a part of our identity. The result: we talk ourselves out of respect. Because every time we explain too much, we send a message we don't mean to. I need you to agree with me. I need you to see me. And the moment people sense that need, their respect fades. Marcus Aurelius faced the same temptation. As emperor, he could have justified every decision, but he didn't. He led through composure. He knew that words don't command loyalty. Consistency does. People don't follow those who explain. They follow those who embody. And embodiment begins with silence, the kind that makes people lean in. Not tune out. So when you're tempted to say more, remember, sometimes the most powerful sentence is the one left unsaid. There's a kind of quiet confidence that only comes from knowing you don't need to prove anything. You've probably met people like that. They speak little, yet everyone listens when they do. It's not because their voice is louder, it's because their silence means something. That kind of presence can't be faked. It comes from discipline, from choosing clarity over noise. The Stoics understood this deeply. Epictetus taught his students to speak only when necessary, because every unnecessary word weakens self-mastery. The man who cannot control his tongue will never control his life. Think about it. When someone argues endlessly, you stop hearing their point and start noticing their emotion. Their need to convince becomes louder than their logic. The more they insist, the less you trust them. That's the hidden law of communication. When emotion rises, respect falls. The Stoic doesn't try to win arguments. He wins composure. He doesn't chase validation. He radiates certainty. In the modern world, this principle is more powerful than ever. In a culture addicted to reaction, the man who stays quiet becomes mysterious. And mystery, not noise, draws respect. There's a deeper reason why silence earns respect. It gives space for meaning to breathe. When you stop rushing to fill every pause, people start to feel the weight of your presence. Your silence makes them reflect. It makes them listen. Not just to you, but to themselves. That's why great leaders, thinkers, and mentors rarely speak in long bursts. They let their words land. They understand that wisdom doesn't need to compete for attention. It creates attention through calm authority. Seneca once wrote, "Speech is the mirror of the soul. If your words are scattered, your mind is unsettled. If your words are measured, your soul is steady." And the world feels the difference instantly. The Stoic knows that silence isn't emptiness. It's focus. Every word he saves becomes energy he can invest elsewhere. In thought, in action, in self-mastery. So the next time you feel the urge to explain yourself, stop. Take one breath, and remember, you don't need to fill the silence. You are the silence, calm, controlled, and powerful enough to let the noise fade on its own. Because in the end, it's not the man who speaks the most who's respected. It's the one whose silence can't be ignored. Silence is not the absence of words. It's the presence of control. Most people misunderstand it. They think silence means weakness, passivity, or retreat. But the Stoics saw it as the highest expression of power, the ability to master your emotions before they master you. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "The soul becomes dyed with the color of its thoughts. If your thoughts are calm, your presence speaks even before your mouth opens. You don't need to shout to be heard. Your restraint already commands the room. In the modern world, silence has become rare. We fill every gap with notifications, arguments, chatter, terrified that if we stop talking, we'll disappear. But silence doesn't erase you, it refines you. It's the pause between your reactions, the space where wisdom is born. That's why a Stoic doesn't rush to answer or react. He observes. He measures his words as a craftsman measures his strokes. Knowing one wrong move can destroy what he's building. When you speak less, you begin to hear more. Not just others, but yourself. The Stoics believed silence was not emptiness, but a test of self-mastery. They trained themselves to pause, to let the first wave of emotion pass before responding. Because they knew that every reaction delivered too soon was a decision made too late. Epictetus, born into slavery, rose to become one of history's most respected philosophers. He spoke little, but when he did, his words were iron. He said, "If you wish to improve, be content to be thought foolish and stupid." That's the cost of silence in a loud world, being misunderstood. But misunderstanding doesn't harm the wise. Only the insecure fear it. When you embrace silence, you begin to detach from other people's urgency. You stop matching their energy. You no longer let anger, gossip, or anxiety pull you into their storm. You become the still center, the one who cannot be moved. In a society addicted to reaction, that calm becomes revolutionary. It's not resistance, it's discipline. And discipline, to the Stoics, was the foundation of freedom. Silence is also a signal. It tells the world, I don't need to prove myself. In relationships, at work, even in conflict, your silence creates gravity. It draws attention, not because it's dramatic, but because it's rare. Seneca advised, better to trip with the feet than with the tongue. He knew that a careless word can destroy years of trust. That's why the Stoic measures his speech, not to manipulate, but to preserve clarity. Modern life has turned conversation into competition. People listen not to understand, but to respond. And the one who refuses to play that game, who listens more than he speaks, becomes magnetic, because silence is not just heard. It's felt. It's presence without pressure. It's confidence without display. Every time you resist the urge to interrupt, correct, or justify, you create space for a strength to grow. The man who learns to be silent doesn't lose his voice. He gains command of it. True silence doesn't mean withdrawal from life. It means participation without noise. The Stoic doesn't isolate himself. He engages the world with intention. When he speaks, he does so with precision, like a surgeon, not a swordsman. Marcus Aurelius faced betrayal, politics, and war, yet his writings are calm, grounded, deliberate. He never wasted words on blame or complaint. He once wrote, "Waste no more time arguing about what a good man should be. Be one." That single sentence captures the Stoic spirit. Less debate, more doing. In Canada, in today's modern workplaces and relationships, we often mistake talking for a contribution. But the man who speaks less and delivers more earns quiet respect, not because he demands it, but because he deserves it. Silence sharpens perception. It helps you see patterns others miss. It lets you hear not just words, but motives. That's why the wise pause before reacting, not because they're slow, but because they're seeing the full picture before moving. The highest form of Stoic silence isn't external, it's internal. It's not about keeping your mouth closed. It's about quieting the noise inside your head. The judgments, the worries, the rehearsed arguments, all of it. Because until the inner voice calms down, your outer silence is just performance. The Stoic works from the inside out. He empties the mind of noise so that every word spoken comes from clarity, not chaos. Silence, in that sense, becomes a kind of prayer, a moment of alignment between what you think, what you feel, and what you choose to say. When you reach that point, your words carry weight. People stop interrupting you, not out of fear, but out of respect, because they can sense you don't talk to be heard. You talk to deliver something worth remembering, and that's the essence of Stoic silence. Not speechlessness, but strength disguised as stillness. Power built on silence is different from the kind built on dominance. It's not about being above others, it's about being beyond their noise. When you master silence, you begin to notice something subtle. People start listening to you more, even when you say less. Because in a world that rewards endless speech, stillness becomes rare, almost sacred. True silence isn't submission, it's strategy. When you hold your words, you hold your energy. And energy, not noise, is what moves people. Look at any great leader, mentor, or elder who commands a room. They don't rush to fill every pause, they own it. They understand that silence builds anticipation, and anticipation builds authority. Seneca said, "He who is brave is free." And what's braver today than resisting the urge to prove yourself? Silence is the Stoic's declaration of freedom. Freedom from approval, from impulse, from the need to be right. Silence also builds power because it sharpens perception. When you stop reacting, you start noticing. You see what drives people, their fears, their habits, their insecurities. You begin to hear not just what they say, but what they mean. The Stoics understood that listening is a form of control. Every time you listen without reacting, you're gathering information others reveal without realizing it. You become the calm observer in a room full of noise. Marcus Aurelius once wrote, "The best revenge is to be unlike him who performed the injury." That's not just moral advice, it's tactical wisdom. When you stay composed while others lose control, you gain an invisible advantage. In a heated moment, the quiet man sees everything. He notices tone, timing, body language, things the loud never catch. And that awareness becomes influence, because clarity always beats chaos. Silence doesn't make you passive. It makes you precise. Power also grows through delayed speech. The Stoics didn't suppress their voices, they refined them. They waited until emotion faded, so that what remained was truth, not reaction. That's why when a Stoic speaks, it lands. It's measured, intentional, solid. It carries weight because it comes from a place of reflection, not impulse. In modern life, this kind of speech is almost extinct. People tweet before they think. They argue before they understand. They confess before they're ready. The result: words lose gravity. But when you delay your words, you reverse that process. You make people wait, not because you're arrogant, but because you value clarity. Seneca called this slow wisdom, the habit of pausing, observing, and choosing responses like one chooses investments, deliberately. It's not silence for silence's sake. It's silence that strengthens every sound that follows. Another reason silence builds power is that it breaks the cycle of dependency. Most people talk to control how others see them. They explain, justify, defend, all to manage perception. But the Stoic refuses to live like that. He knows that when your peace depends on being understood, you're no longer free. So he stops chasing understanding and starts embodying truth. That shift, from explanation to embodiment, is liberation. Because once you stop trying to convince, you stop being controlled. Your calm becomes your boundary. Your silence becomes your statement. And here's the paradox. When you stop trying to make people respect you, they start to. Because respect, like attention, can't be demanded. It's earned through presence. That's what silence gives you, presence. And presence is the purest form of influence. Silence also builds something deeper, trust. Not everyone may agree with you, but they'll learn they can rely on you. Because your silence signals stability. People instinctively trust those who don't react to every emotion. They feel safe around someone who can hold space without judgment or drama. And that's why the quiet man becomes a pillar. In his work, his relationships, his family. In Canada's calm, measured culture, this kind of steadiness is magnetic. It's not loud leadership, it's quiet guidance. It's the man who doesn't need to remind anyone of his worth, because his behavior already does. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "Waste no more time arguing about what a good man should be. Be one." That's the Stoic's silent oath. He doesn't announce who he is. He demonstrates it daily, through consistency, not conversation. That's why his silence isn't absence, it's reliability. And reliability is the currency of true power. Eventually, silence stops being a strategy. It becomes your nature. You no longer think, "I should hold my tongue." You simply don't feel the need to speak unless it serves purpose. And that's the ultimate sign of mastery. When restraint stops feeling like effort and starts feeling like peace. The Stoics didn't silence themselves out of fear. They silenced themselves out of wisdom, knowing that real strength doesn't need to be loud to be felt. In time, your silence will speak for you. It will carry your integrity, your patience, your discipline, louder than words ever could. And when people ask why others respect you so easily, you'll smile, because you'll know it wasn't what you said, it was what you didn't. That's how silence becomes power, not through control of others, but through complete control of yourself. Let's take a breath, because if you've reached this point, you've already practiced the first rule of Stoic silence, patience. You've learned that silence isn't about holding your tongue. It's about holding your ground. It's choosing not to be pulled into every argument, every opinion, every emotional storm that passes through your day. Marcus Aurelius said, "You have power over your mind, not outside events." Realize this, and you will find strength. That's the essence of what we've explored. Silence is not withdrawal from life. It's control over how life moves through you. In a world obsessed with expression, it's easy to forget the art of restraint. But restraint is not repression. It's intelligence guided by peace. It's knowing when to step back, so your words carry forward with clarity. We've seen how silence transforms from weakness into power. It builds respect, because not every reaction deserves your energy. It builds perception, because by observing, you understand what others miss. It builds trust, because steadiness in chaos makes you reliable. And finally, it builds inner freedom, the kind no one can give or take away. Seneca once wrote, "He who is everywhere is nowhere today." You could read that as, "He who speaks about everything stands for nothing." In your silence, you discover focus. You reclaim the depth that endless noise has buried. You start speaking less but meaning more, and people feel the difference, not because you're louder, but because you're real. Because the man who has mastered silence doesn't just say things worth hearing. He lives them. So, if there's one truth to carry with you after this video, let it be this: silence is not a gap between words. It's the space where wisdom forms. The Stoics knew that peace isn't found in escaping the world, but in standing quietly within it, calm, centered, and unshaken. Maybe that's the true secret of strength in our time. Not more talking, not more proving, but more listening, more breathing, more being. Because the man who can stay silent in chaos isn't avoiding life. He's mastering it. And that is how silence turns into power. If this message spoke to you, even in a small way, pause for a moment before doing anything else. Just breathe. Let the silence we've been talking about sink in for a few seconds. Now ask yourself, when was the last time you truly listened? Not just to others, but to your own mind, without judgment, without rushing to fix or defend. That question alone could change the rhythm of your life. You don't need to meditate in the mountains or abandon your work to live like a Stoic. You just need to start noticing how often you speak when silence would serve you better, how often you react when stillness would protect your peace. And maybe today, you can try one small act of silence. Don't respond immediately. Don't explain yourself right away. Just observe what happens when you stop feeding the noise. You'll be surprised. People will lean in closer, not because you become mysterious, but because your calm presence feels like a relief in a world that never stops talking. If this video helped you remember that quiet strength is still strength, consider joining us here on StoicCraft. Every week, we share lessons drawn from ancient philosophy, but told through the lens of real modern life, work, stress, relationships, the chaos of digital noise. Because Stoicism isn't about the past. It's about learning how to stand still in the storm of today. So, if you found value in this message, subscribe, like this video if it resonated, and share it with someone who might need the moment of calm today. Your engagement helps this philosophy reach more people, not for fame, but for peace. Because the world doesn't need louder voices right now. It needs steadier ones. It needs people like you, who know that real strength isn't in shouting, but in understanding. Finally, I'd love to hear your thoughts. What situation in your life right now could use more silence and less reaction? Share it in the comments below. Your story might be exactly what someone else needs to hear tonight. This is StoicCraft, a space where philosophy meets the modern mind, where ancient calm meets modern chaos. Thank you for watching. And remember, speak less, see more, stay steady.